Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty fun news to go and share. Now, as I'm sure you guys probably know, the PlayStation 5 Pro is pretty much on the imminent launch. So right now in this video, we're going to be actually showcasing up some gameplay, especially for the PlayStation 5 Pro, with a special breakdown, basically showing like what the PlayStation 5 can actually utilize, some footage from the very most popular games such as Horizon, Forbidden West, Hogwarts, etc. And I'm kind of letting you have a chance to go and see the difference between like a PS5 Pro, a PC, and overall kind of get your own initial thoughts on all of this. So if you guys will sit tight, relax, and enjoy, and give me all of your thoughts and comments on everything down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below, and let's go talk about it. So first and foremost, the big things to go talk about is that Digital Foundry actually had a chance to go and have a chance to have the hands-on experience and have a chance to kind of do a big deep dive and explain the differences on the PS5, PS5 Pro, and also in the PC. So we have quite a few kind of cool things we're going to show all throughout this video. I'm going to make my webcam a little bit smaller too as well, maybe put myself right in the middle on top of this, but I'm going to try to go and highlight quite a few different things and kind of let you guys just see gameplay. I'm going to yap quite a bit and more so kind of just observe. If you guys even need to mute me, just enjoy, do whatever, feel free to. So I'm going to try to highlight certain things. First and foremost, the PS5 and the fidelity mode, it looks very, very nice, but as well, the PS5 Pro does have a few more additional features, textures, lighting, and I'm sure you guys know general upgrades. Some of the biggest things out there more focused on AI integrations, filling in the blank, foliage, and overall, I think people are kind of slowly warming up to the idea of the PS5 Pro. Now, obviously, it is expensive. I keep on using that disclaimer, but I do think a lot of people, there is a niche for this, and I think a lot of people will enjoy the idea of the PS5 Pro. Now, some of these will be a little bit harder to see. Like on my quick glance on this one, you can kind of see the blades of grass looking a little bit nicer on the PS5 Pro. And one of the bigger things is also frame rate. Now, this might be really easy to go and see. Some of the games may look somewhat similar, but you also remember these games are also looking similar while also running like 2 times as better. So while the game itself has, and I do see better lighting textures and details, and overall it's kind of harder to notice, but it does look nicer. The bigger thing is that in comparison, it also will be running more efficient at that same frame rate. So even it might be a 4K 60 FPS versus 4K 30. So it may look similar, but the frame rate and performance will run quite a bit nicer. Now as well, although we have some booty shots over here, the idea behind the PS5 Pro is also meant to kind of have a little bit more extra foliage, and it might be hard to see, and also slightly better lighting. Now the lighting over here, if you actually look through it, kind of makes a lot of sense. But there's been some pretty popular pictures I want to showcase over here really quick throughout the video, and maybe a little bit more throughout it, of just kind of showing like a big high example of how these are way better. Now here's a good example of the RTX on and off, and while they're also pushing the PS5 Pro, so you guys can have a chance on the right side. Look at how more so the ground effects makes everything seem a lot more immersive. Look at the lighting effects too as well. Even though it's a little bit of a darker game, it kind of just has a lot more of an actual immersive feature towards the game itself, allowing a lot more color to kind of be popping and vibrant, and lights and like basically shadow effects from the outside having a chance to explode. Now, obviously, there's a lot more smaller fine-tuned details and a better GPU, but I think just looking at the ground itself, this is a very obvious, hey, the games look and feel a lot more immersive. So, as we kind of go throughout the video too, there's many other various times in the games where they have a chance to go and show this. We're on the PS5 Pro versus the PS5. There's just a lot of moments over here side to side that the game itself just run and feels a lot more better. It just feels efficient, especially in the comparison between the two. Now, we've actually seen other outside examples basically showing that the background is what matters the most. But you can also almost kind of see things like certain colors as well that are a little bit more vibrant and pop a little bit more when it comes to these games. Once again, better frame rate too is always a big deal. Now, we've also seen a lot of the various games too, such as say like Alan Wake. Some of these games, in my opinion, are even better games to go and highlight and showcase on because they're a little bit more in depth. There's a lot more lighting effects and lighting details and things you have to focus on when it comes to Alan Wake 2. And then the comparison behind this, even comparing that to a really nice PC with the 4090, it's very similar. Don't forget, a 4090 is around $2,000. Rounding up, it's not always that much, but it's very expensive. You can literally go buy multiple PS5 Pros for this. So that have a chance to have your this stuff so utterly close and very comparable and optimized is a huge deal in terms of value. Basically in comparison, the PC is harder to go compete with. So this is hands-on footage and this looks amazing. I play this on PC and this looks like my PC experience with the 3080 Ti. This is a very big deal. And more so the lighting effects and all the details and these little rats even over here, this is all kind of somewhat utilized through AI and also basically upscaling and stuff like that to make everything look a lot nicer, along with these cool water shader effects or these physics engines that make everything seem and flow more seamless, the PS5 Pro is actually looking and feeling great. Like, it's actually very cool. Now, some of the bigger games too as well, I think even on PC and PS5 Pro, is although it may look similar, once again, like maybe this is a good example. Like maybe look at this if you're on your phone or whatever. You can see these individualized details, but it looks very grainy, looks very kind of blurred out. Well, if you look at the PS5 Pro, there's a little bit more just extra shading, extra details, and you may not always have to go and stare at a headset to go, or like stare at like, you know, someone's headset to go and figure out if it's good or not. But you can kind of just go and see that there actually is more just internal depth. Like, look at the hair if you guys want to have an even better example. This clearly looks like video game hair, very look shoddy, doesn't look that good, just doesn't look nice, doesn't feel like it's good textures. Well, if you compare it to the actual other PS5 Pro's hair, like, it's still, you know, obviously looks a bit on the game side or whatever, but like, you just kind of see like it's just a lot more fine-tuned details. And this is where things like the PSSR and the AI like basically have a chance to utilize. It basically just kind of fine-tunes these designs and make them a lot better. It's like, hey, there's meant to be a little bit of a scratch, let's RNG the scratch up and make it look nicer. Stuff like this is a very, very big deal. Now, as I mentioned, the Hogwarts Legacy, I think between the two is probably some of the better examples, where just everything looks more realistic. It looks slightly more sharper. It's harder to maybe see in a YouTube video as I can see with my own eyes, but it just looks better. Like, it looks existent. It looks like you're actually in the environment. And while it might be a little more on the contrasting side, it is a big, big deal when it comes to some of these bigger games. Now, they're trying to go highlight certain things like, once again, shadow effects, which I do think is probably the best thing out there. Like, I really think you want to have good, detailed shadows and steps and just the overall environment. The contrast makes things nicer, and that is one thing the PS5 Pro has done very, very well on. It's done great. It's done fantastic. Same with the foliage too as well. So as we kind of keep on just scrolling through all these games, because some of them, like say Gran Turismo on the PS5 Pro, is going to look phenomenal. It already looks good on the PS5, but then imagine like these even better individualized details, more so maybe the background. Maybe think about just it running on a better performance due to AI filling in the blanks of say these walls. You have these random walls and these random lights and these random background things. You can make everything look a lot nicer. Even the trees, even the environment, even like the actual physics engines themselves with a better GPU and also AI integrated on it, you can make everything look so much nicer. And it's crazy. Like I'm to the point where it might be harder once again to see on video, but I'm seeing big differences. And maybe, once again, the Hogwarts Legacy example. You may have to look for it, but once you kind of notice it in like a side-by-side comparison, you realize that they actually are kind of really cooking. Now, I don't want to be like a hyperbole, like where I'm like, oh my god, these are the best consoles ever. Like, it's a little bit of a niche one. It's expensive. There's issues with it. Like, you know, I get it. I understand. But like, I'm overall thinking it's getting like a little bit too much hate for what it might be. Might be a separate video topic in my mind. But like, some of these games look phenomenal. And they look actually like there is in somewhat actual proper, like, improvements to as well. Now, a lot of people have been kind of like discussions like, is it good for a PC? Is it going to be work with a good overall deal? Stuff like that. But like, truly, some of the games, man, are like looking. Here's like even Dragon's Dogma, if I could try to find an example of them looking on it. But like, here is a great example. A great still frame over here where just look at how much nicer the PS5 Pro looked right there. Like, it feels like you're almost in a different game. Look at the feather textures. It looks more realistic, more fleshed out, a very consistent vibe. And you'd assume maybe AI would not make it look good, but I would actually say the opposite. I think it looks phenomenal. Now, if you look at the PS5 one, still looks good, but you can kind of see how like the details are weird. You see all these little splotches. Look at the wings. It's just not really filling in the blank well. It's not feeling good. It's not, I don't know, like I just feel like everything looks a little bit more realistic. Whether it's slightly more contrasted, whether it's just slightly cleaner, I have no idea, like the best word for it. But if you kind of stare at this, you can kind of see. It just is more fleshed out. It looks just like it's more put well together. It looks nice. Even had a chance to go and kind of see if like the PS5 Pro would have a chance to go run these on slightly higher quality too as well. And there just has been a really, really good just overall quality mode and looks relatively nice. Now, PCs will probably run better. They're more expensive, they have more hardware, more updates. A lot of games sometimes even are optimized for PC2 as well. So I don't want to take that away from the PS5 Pro, because they can do the same thing, I would say, for, say, Sony games or individual games that are porting their games over from PC to PS5. So it is a big deal, but I will say, like, it looks like the value is nuts. It looks like the game is running good. Now, there is differences, sure, even for this example over here in just the PS5 mode, but this is like what the PS5 Pro is trying to clear up. Make these foliage better, make the lighting better, make the game run better, make the GPU better, and I think it's actually doing everything that it needs to go and do in the first place. So I want to hear your thoughts and comments on some of the quick footage over here. Maybe you guys see something, maybe you guys don't. But I do want to say I actually have very much appreciated the fact that it looks like there is a somewhat pretty decent improvement. Whether it's just for ray tracing or whatever, I still like it, and I'm probably going to buy one at the end of the day. So keep on doing coverage. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room as well down below, and I appreciate you guys all so much for watching here in the first place.